It's the Gear Tester here, and you are looking at two Orion road flares. I recently decided that I wanted to increase my personal knowledge and experience with road flares. So I purchased some, and I thought you might enjoy the information that I have gleaned in the last month or so as I've been looking at and spending time with these road flares. I purchased a pack of 3. And later on in this video, you're going to see me light one, and you're going to see how that all goes down. But right now, I just want to talk about the road flares. You can get road flares in a number of different lengths, which correlate to the amount of time at which they're going to burn. These happen to be about 9.5 inches long. All right, I'll give you guys, see here, to the end of the cap, they're about 9.5 inches long. And they say right here on the road flares, they say 15-minute red emergency flare. You can see the manufacturing date there, 2013. Okay, June 2013. So these are relatively new. From my information that I've gotten online, they can last many, many years. The older they get, the more likely they are to do strange things. Maybe not work on you, and they are more likely to not work if they've been exposed to moisture. So these are the Orion road flares that have not been waxed. There are some Orion road flares you can purchase that have been dipped in wax, and that increases their ability to resist moisture. You might want to put them, if you're going to put them in your trunk of your vehicle, you may want to put them in a plastic bag, like a Ziploc bag. Probably would not be a bad idea. They make the Orion road flares, the ones that I can see clearly online, they make them in 15 minutes, the run time, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then some other ones. But I really think the 15-minute ones, they're a nice length, 9 inches. It's short enough that if you wanted to put them in a backpack or some kind of a bag, they're not really, really long. You start getting, a 30-minute one is going to be almost, I'm going to assume it would just be double the size of these, right? So they're about 9.5 inches. So that's going to be almost 19 inches long. That's a pretty long item to have. I'd rather have two 15-minute road flares. That also gives you the option to have multiple flares going on at the same time rather than just one really long one. I'm going to just go over here how you would deploy them. I'm not going to do that now. I'll do that later on in this video. You can see here, this is the safety cap. You pull the safety cap off, and here is the portion that you would strike. And when you strike that, it's just like the tip of a match. Boom, it's just going to ignite. And you would strike it with this portion here. So there's kind of a double safety cap there. And that's a good thing because you wouldn't want these rolling around your trunk and one scratching the other. But that's just something to be aware of, how that's going to work. These 15-minute road flares, at least where I live, are relatively inexpensive. They cost me about $7 for the 3 of them. They came in just a little plastic bag that said Orion road flares on them. Here is the bag. So you can see I got a pack of 3 very clearly there. It would seal them and make them slightly waterproof. Okay, we give some waterproof protection there with the bag that they come with. So that's something good to know. And I would probably maybe double baggy them just to make sure that they did not get moist. Because that's what's going to degrade these, is if they're in a wet situation. Or if you live in a really humid environment, then you're going to see that these road flares kind of swell up, and you might have problems using them when you needed them. These are road flares, and so the basic idea here is that you would deploy these if you had an emergency, a car accident, maybe your vehicle just stopped running and you were having a hard time getting it off the road. You could light these and you could place them so that your vehicle would be in a safe zone, so that people would have a heads up, a warning. And I've looked on Orion's website and I've read information, and there's no precise way how you're going to lay the flares out. What I have noticed, I can just use this 3x5 card here. If this is your vehicle and the road is running this way, the way you're going to want to lay the road flares out is almost like this. Like if we just laid that road flare and we say we were going to lay 1 road flare, 2 road flares, 3 road flares, okay, along like so. So you'd have 1, 2, 3 road flares running this way out from the vehicle. And the further you can get those road flares behind your vehicle so that you're alerting cars sooner that are coming up behind you and possibly cars that are coming in front of you. So think about having your vehicle here, and then you're going to be running a line of flares out from behind your vehicle and a line of flares out. So that's just going to alert people, okay, there's a vehicle that's having problems and we need to slow down as we come by. And this is the kind of way that you'd be laying those out. Of course, you'd be striking them and laying them so they'd be visible to traffic coming either way towards you. That just gives people a heads up to get over and maybe merge. If there's a double lane road or you're just on the side of a road, they're going to give a little heads up and they're not going to be as likely to strike you or your vehicle. So that's how their intended purpose is. I think road flares have a lot of different uses. Orion has some shorter road flares. I think they're more like 5 inches. They call them flares, like emergency flares or fire starters. And you could definitely use one of these road flares to just start a fire. You'll see they put out a lot of heat and they're going to burn for a long time. So I think they have a number of different purposes and uses, whether that's signaling in an emergency situation or whether that's just allowing people to know that your vehicle's having problems. One thing you can do to extend the length of time these flares burn, so you would of course get this one burning and then you take the end cap off your second road flare and you can crisscross the road flares like so. And you might be delicate there. So as this burns down, it's going to hit that one and it's going to light it. Okay, and so you could crisscross, and that way you're going to lose a little bit of time. Okay, maybe a couple minutes, but you're going to gain all that additional time. So that is something that you can do, yeah, to extend the life or the burn time of the flares by crisscrossing them. One thing I would like to encourage you to do is if you're going to have a bunch of road flares, maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6. Orion, of course, would love it if everybody had about 20 of these in their trunk, but I think probably 6 would be optimal. You could have 3 in front of your vehicle and 3 behind your vehicle if you needed to do that, or someone else's vehicle if you needed to do that, and if you saw an emergency happen. Because they're inexpensive, they're about $2 a piece. I think you should get, if you're going to have 3 in each vehicle, get an extra pack and actually light them and use them. You yourself and then maybe family members, your wife, your kids, your husband. That would just allow you to have already used these. I'd also be careful as you deploy these to not put them too close to the car. Give yourself a safety zone around the car just in case in the accident or the car problems that you're having, some fluids have leaked out and you don't ignite those fluids by with the road flares, because they'll definitely set stuff on fire. So you might even use a road flare in an emergency situation where you don't have a lighter or something like that, or matches. You could use a road flare to start a fire. So there's lots of different uses for these items. Signaling, emergency fire starting, all kinds of things. But use them. They're inexpensive. Get an extra package. Have each of your family members light one and be careful to keep their hand back. You can see here they have hold below this line. They want you to keep your hand as you strike it. Get away from it. So just practice, be safe with it. So in an emergency situation when people are worried, maybe a little bit of adrenaline running through their veins, that they don't do something foolish with something that has the potential of being a dangerous item. This is going to be the fun part of, at least for me, and probably for you, my viewers, of this video. And this is when we're going to light one of these flares off. You can see there, this is one of the Orion flares. 15 minutes. Just going to pop the main cap off here, exposing the head of the flare. Now we're going to take off the safety top there. So this is going to be going hot here. You can see, boom, just like that, instant. Instantly going. That was really easy to do. You can see there the top of the cap there has been scratched now. There you go. That's going to burn like that. You can see that bright red there. It's going to burn like that for the next 15 minutes. This flare has been burning for exactly 13 minutes, so it's reached the 13-minute mark. I don't doubt that it'll go on for the next 2 minutes. It's got a little bit left. And for me, this is just confirming the fact that Orion says it's going to, right there on the packaging and on the flare, it's going to last 15 minutes. It's lasted 13 minutes. I'm sure it's going to last 2 more minutes here.
But I've been impressed that the flare has lasted this long. It's getting a little bit darker, you can see here, and the flare is definitely, and this hasn't changed from when it began, it kind of is flickering a little bit. You can probably see that on the screen there. Definitely will get your attention. If you were waving it, definitely if you use them exactly as they're intended to on the road, at extended intervals from your car and then near your car, so that individuals would see you if you had to be pulled over, either because of an accident or because your car had some kind of problems with it. I'm impressed with the Orion road flares. Definitely a useful item. Definitely something that I would keep in my car, and maybe even in something like backpacking equipment or camping equipment. It would definitely do a really good job at starting a fire if you needed to do that in a wet situation. You got 15 minutes of this thing just pouring out, and you may be able to see there, right here, the grass has been lit on fire, this green grass right there. So just interesting, just another tool to have, another item to have information about. The flare just died out, and we actually got 17 minutes of burn time on this particular flare. So I'm impressed. Got 17 minutes, got an extra 2 minutes. I'm glad to see that Orion flares are actually lasting as long as they say they do. I'm going to go make sure that this flare is put out now.
I would definitely recommend Orion road flares to you. I think they are an excellent product, something that will definitely benefit you and your family if you have them in your vehicle. I appreciate your views and your subscriptions. My goal is to produce quality video reviews of shooting, camping, and survival gear. If you found this video helpful, I would encourage you to subscribe to my channel. This is the Gear Tester signing off.